So, My Chemical Romance, welcome back to Denmark and welcome to MTV Transistor.
Hi.
How is it to be back on the road with a brand new album that's not the Black Parade?
It's very good. I guess there was points where maybe we felt like it wasn't going to ever happen again. So, starting back up in November, I remember that was the feeling I had walking on stage was, oh, this is so awesome to be able to do this again.
And is it like a different vibe this time?
Yes, much different vibe.
And you guys, you've been together now for 10 years as a band.
10 years.
Did you, when you formed 10 years ago in New Jersey, did you ever think that it would go that far?
I mean, we believed in the band, but I guess we didn't have a concept of how far a band could go. Maybe that's more what it was.
Yeah, it's beyond our wildest dreams.
And you can say that even though you've had like millions of records sold, you have sold out tours for like years in a row, you still managed to avoid all the pitfalls of fame and rock stardom. How do you guys do that? Because you just seem to be like a bunch of guys still just playing music.
Yeah,
That's it. That's exactly the answer. That's what we got in it for. Like we formed a band because we love playing music. We don't care about all the other stuff. So that keeps you grounded. And plus, we all have great families, great people around us that are kind of the same vibe as us. And
like a support system.
Yeah,
it keeps you grounded.
Yeah, it's important. And when it all exploded like 3 or 4 years ago, you suddenly became like the voice of the new generation. Did you see that as a curse or bless?
Well, I never really thought of us as a voice of any kind of generation.
Of course you didn't, but like people
Yeah.
did.
Some
And they
people,
just
I
look
guess,
at you and
it's a weird
look
thing.
for an answer.
Yeah, that definitely looked to us for answers. I don't know that suits anybody well. I think we just. It's not that it was right time, right place. We just had something to say that happened to be what people were feeling, and you can't manufacture that. It just happens. So we just dealt with it. I mean, it wasn't the easiest thing in the world to deal with, being looked to for answers, but then eventually we kind of just shut up and kept playing.
And if you look at the band and like your history, it seems like you're really good at reinventing yourself. This is My Chemical Romance version 4.0.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that a way of keeping it interesting for you guys to keep playing?
Absolutely, yeah.
You grow and you change and you experience different things, and it affects the way you grow up together. We've all grown up in this band and changed together. So we are who we are now, just 10 years later.
And when you listen to the first album, if you've sat down today and listened to it from front to back,
right,
what would you think about that band? Because it's been a while, man.
Goddamn metronome.
Metronome.
I was actually. We were on a flight, I forget, just a couple days ago, and I was listening to some of those old songs. I was actually getting like really emotional, because it really was reminding me of who we were back then when we were recording that. All these memories started flooding my head, and I definitely, I don't know, I love it. That's the great thing about every record. Every record is like almost like a time capsule, a moment in time, and especially for us, like for fans, like they listen to it and you hear people like, oh, I remember the first time I heard that song. It's like, wow, I remember the first time we wrote that song. So it's I love it. I love to listen to the old stuff.
Yeah, like at shows, you still have like the front row shouting, "Play Vampire!"
I know. No, it's really cool.
Well, now we are. So nowadays we do. So they're kind of psyched.
That's cool. Let's take a short break and watch a video that really defined you to the whole world, The Black Parade. Let's talk a little bit about your third record, The Black Parade, because when that came out, it just exploded. How did that affect the band?
Well, it was interesting because I think the perception was that it exploded, but it did.
Gradually went up, and the whole
But
time.
like in Europe or in Denmark, it was like, whoa, I didn't know that band, and suddenly it was all over the place.
In some countries, I guess.
Yeah, but we were on tour the whole time, so like we would get phone calls from our parents or whoever and be like, yeah, you're on TV a lot, or I heard that on the radio like a bunch, and it was like, oh, really? There's more kids at the shows. Well, there's more kids at shows like singing along, so I guess people were starting to hear about it, and then it was just we kind of just kept our heads down and worked and just kept playing shows, and we're really excited.
Yeah, and if looking from the outside, it seemed that suddenly it became more than a band. It became like this thing. This movement.
It became a thing. It became like a movement or a cultural thing, and that definitely did happen during Black Parade. And that I think was maybe the most difficult thing to deal with or come to grips with, because it's a loss of almost total control of something y'all created together. You always lose control of your songs when you put those out into the world, but to lose control of almost everything and have it be this cultural thing, that's kind of tough. So I think we spent 4 years getting that control back.
And looking at the album before that, the Sweet Revenge, that was quite successful.
Yeah.
You had like 3 good singles, but on the Black Parade it was just single after single. You ended up releasing 5
There
or
was
6
a lot
singles.
more, yeah. On Parade. It's interesting because I feel with Danger Day there's going to be even more. There's just more opportunities for there's more of a variety, I think.
It's always awesome when you make something and people get it, like they got it. That's always really gratifying.
And it's also cool that with the new record and the Black Parade, you kind of grew out of the trend. You showed that we're not a part of that scene. We're a real band, and you're like the only one left standing.
I kind of always felt it was going to be that way, though, because we were never following a trend. We were just doing what felt right, and then you would see it get plugged into stuff, and then people copying it or whatever, and then you were like, well, that's not part of it. That's not a scene. What we created isn't a scene. It's just a thing, Yeah. And so I kind of felt like I was never worried about kind of being the last one standing.
And when the never-ending Black Parade tour ended, was it scary to be back in Jersey and be thinking, fuck, we're gonna make a new record?
Yeah, super scary. It definitely did. Like, at first it's weird. There was definitely a good amount of time where you were like happy to be home and resting, but then you start getting like the itch.
Yeah.
It's like, but also like there was just some stuff going on where like we're just
we
not
have
ready to write a
catering
record.
room.
Yeah, you don't know. Totally, you feel like almost like shell shocked in a bit. So.
But was it scary to start working on the new album then?
Yeah, that was pretty scary. Well, we also, I don't think we're ready. We just kind of needed to play together. I think that's all we really needed to do. Instead of start making albums, we should have just been playing a lot together and just hanging out and just doing that and get the engine going.
Let's talk a lot about the new album, but
Sure.
let's just watch the video to Na Na Na. So the new album, Danger Days, True Lies of the Fabulous Killjoys, it ended up being quite a long process.
Yes.
How was it when you found yourself back in the studio? Did you stop too soon?
I feel a little bit.
Yeah, I think the recording process started too soon. It was one of those things where we had taken some time off, lived our lives a little bit, and then did the song for Watchmen. And it felt really good to play and to start creating. So we were like, oh, we must be ready to write a record. And so we got into the studio, and it was, all right, well, this is the record we're going to make. This is the direct opposite of what Black Parade was, so that must be the right direction. And we achieved that goal, but at the when we finally got to the end result, it was like, oh wait, no, that's not what the next record should be. That's just what we wanted at that moment. So we need to start again.
Yeah, because when Desolation Road, the single came out, I was like, whoa, this is a whole new edge. So did you got caught up with that?
Not caught up with that. That was very planned out. I had called Zach and we had a discussion about it sounding very specific to the era that the film was set in. So, but it was very fun to do that. And I think around that time we were writing a lot more aggressive material. It was good to kind of get it out.
It was like scratching an itch, yeah. And sometimes it's like you can't find the sound you're going to evolve into. The sound will find you.
That's a good cliche, but it's true.
It's true.
But you ended up getting to a point where you were like, fuck, we have a record, but we can't release it.
Yeah, it had no identity.
How is it to make that phone call to the record label and say,
man.
oh man, we're going to need another million, another year, another producer?
It's weird. It wasn't like that. It was very natural. We just started, Tom Wally, who has always been very supportive of the band, was the head of the company at the time. And, he could sense, I think, in us that we weren't finished. And so he said, why don't you just, go hang out with Rob Cavallo again and rekindle that. And it happened.
We had songs we still wanted to write, and Rob happened to be free, and he was like, all right, well, go do what you got to do.
And then you ended up building up this new concept.
Right. Kind of a concept. It's
kind
not
of
really
concept,
a concept.
but more like a visual
it's
thing too.
Right.
But is that a way of channeling your creativity?
Oh, absolutely. I think I feel the need to at least do a little bit or a lot every time we make a record to create a world, and I feel like that's what the band does with its music, and build these worlds together, and then I kind of feel like visually representing those somehow, like they need something, you know. It's not always going to be something that's a giant procedure, but
No.
I guess whatever the record calls for, or whatever it asks for.
And it really suits the music.
I feel like that.
But like after the Black Parade tour, obviously you guys grew tired of that concept. So isn't it like a fear in the back of your head that, oh, like in a year from now we don't want to be doing
the good news is we don't
the Killjoy thing.
Yeah, but we're not, which is cool. Like the Killjoys is so much about very real things, you know. And we're not playing characters, and we don't have to wear any kind of costume on stage. We don't have to wear anything we don't want to wear.
No.
And so, being that it's not a story with characters you have to follow, and there's no rules. That's the point of the Killjoys record.
Yeah, I think too, just from even the start of when we put out the record to now, like everything has been evolving. Everything's like flowing. Like even like the videos, there's been no set plans. Like we're just kind of coming up with it as we go and doing what feels good. So in a way where I feel like with this, we're still getting that kind of, you never know what's going to come next, which I feel like we kind of need. You know?
Yeah. So you kind of build the foundation for the next 10 years of My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, you know, or the next adventure you're going to have, maybe it's 2 years, you know. But I do feel like we've rebooted in a way and built a foundation for the next 10 if we want to do them. You know.
Cool. Let's watch the Desolation Road video and then finish up.
Great.
Cool. So actually, this new record, even though it's in one way kind of more poppy, it's also the most aggressive sounding record.
Right.
In your catalog.
Pretty interesting, yeah.
How did you manage to end in that corner?
You know, it's weird. I think it was just a lot of experimentation, and what you're hearing is a band celebrating that experimentation and that excitement to be creative. You know, we picked up a lot of instruments that weren't like the normal instruments that we would play. Like, you know, a lot of us were on synth and working with drum machines and creating loops within like in a Pro Tools setting, and just, you know, kind of reimagining the way we would write songs.
Yeah.
And that was really fun, you know, to just, you know, take everything that you know and throw it out the window and just start brand new again.
But production-wise, because it would be like the easy way just to make like a over-polished rock record like American Idiot with Green Day, something like that. But you choose to make it much more rough edge.
Well, I think the core of Danger Days is dirty. Like that was the idea. It was about keeping stuff dirty. It was about the whole, you know, notion of the record is like, you know, how far will we go to keep cleaning stuff up till it has no personality left? You know, like rock got so cleaned up that it got wiped off the face of the planet almost. So to revitalize that, you need almost rock and roll's worst enemy, which is where it started, which is you know,
a good pop song.
Well, that but also like agitating and challenging and being dirty and dancing. Yeah, like Elvis dancing and pissing people off. Like so much of that.
I wouldn't take you guys as dancers 10 years ago.
Oh man, you've never seen us live then. That's all I do.
I've seen you twice, so. But like every time you make a new album, is it with an idea of making the old albums redundant?
Yes, and I don't know. It's not a conscious thing, but I've had friends come up and say, "I can't listen to your old stuff once you put a new one out," and I take that as a really big compliment.
And the new album has been out for quite a while now. So do you still feel that you managed to succeed that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's still pretty new.
Yeah, it just came out in the end of November.
It feels like it's been a long time now.
Time goes fast when you're on tour.
It does.
In the end, the future for My Chemical Romance, is that bright or is it red or is it black or
what color is it? It's multicolored.
Yeah, so it's all colors, right? Which would be
Orange,
white.
yellow, like the sun. Like the sun.
Right now it's the sun, yeah.
And is it just planned out touring the next year or is it?
Yeah, this year we're pretty much locked into a bunch of touring, and then next year's uncertain.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
For taking your time and have a good show tonight.
We will.
Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to see it.